Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Alice sat drowsily on the golden riverbank one warm afternoon, listening half-heartedly as her older sister read from a book without pictures or conversations. Suddenly, a white rabbit with pink eyes hurried past, dressed in a waistcoat and clutching a pocket watch. "Oh, dear! Oh, dear! I shall be late," he exclaimed. Intrigued, Alice sprang up and followed him across the field, just in time to see him disappear down a large rabbit hole beneath the hedge. Burning with curiosity, she plunged after him. The hole turned into a long tunnel, then dropped suddenly. Alice fell for what seemed like ages, tumbling slowly enough to notice shelves of books and jars lining the walls. She even managed to take a jar labeled orange marmalade from one shelf, only to find it empty. At last, she landed softly in a hall lined with locked doors. On a glass table stood a tiny golden key that unlocked a small door, revealing a beautiful garden. But Alice was too large to pass through. Nearby, she found a bottle labeled "Drink Me." After careful consideration, she sipped it and shrank rapidly to 10 inches high. Delighted, she rushed to the door, only to discover she had left the key on the table, far out of reach. In despair, she ate a cake labeled "Eat Me" that appeared beside her. Instantly, she grew enormous, her head pressing against the ceiling. Tears streamed from her eyes, forming a vast pool that flooded the hall. The white rabbit dashed by again, dropping a fan and gloves in fright. Alice picked up the fan and waved it, shrinking once more until she swam in her own pool of tears. Soon she met a mouse, a duck, a dodo, a lory, an eaglet, and other creatures who had been swept into the pool. To dry themselves on the shore, the dodo proposed a caucus race. Everyone ran in a circle with no start or finish, and all won prizes. Alice distributed comfits from her pocket as prizes, and the mouse received her thimble. The mouse offered to tell a dry tale to finish drying them, a sad story of William the Conqueror, but Alice kept mentioning her cat Dinah, frightening the animals away. Left alone, she soon heard the white rabbit approaching, fretting about his lost gloves and fan. Mistaking her for his housemaid Marianne, he ordered her to fetch them from his house. Inside the rabbit's neat little house, Alice found another bottle and drank it, growing so huge that she filled the room. Her arm stuck out the window and her foot blocking the chimney. The rabbit and his neighbors hurled pebbles through the window. They turned into cakes. Alice ate one and shrank small enough to escape into the woods. Wandering lost, she came upon a large mushroom. Atop it sat a blue caterpillar, smoking a hookah. "Who are you?" he demanded. Alice confessed she hardly knew anymore, what with all the size changes. The caterpillar advised her to eat one side of the mushroom to grow taller, and the other to shrink smaller, then crawled away. Alice nibbled cautiously. Her neck stretched alarmingly until her head poked above the treetops. A pigeon accused her of being a serpent stealing eggs. After more nibbling to restore normal size, she approached a neat little house where a footman frog and fish footman exchanged invitations. Inside, the Duchess nursed a howling baby while the cook threw pots and added pepper to everything. The baby sneezed violently and, when handed to Alice, turned into a pig. Alice set it down gently in the woods. A grin appeared in the air. Then the rest of the Cheshire Cat materialized. "We're all mad here," he told Alice. "I'm mad." "You're mad." He directed her to the March Hare's house for the Mad Tea Party and vanished, leaving only his grin. Alice found the March Hare, the Hatter, and a sleepy dormouse at a large table under a tree. It was always 6 o'clock, tea time, because the Hatter had quarreled with time. They riddled her with nonsense. Why is a raven like a writing desk? Alice tried to solve it, but received no answer. The dormouse told a confusing story about 3 sisters living at the bottom of a treacle well. Frustrated, Alice left, calling the party the stupidest she had ever seen. She entered a door in a tree and found herself back in the long hall. This time she used a key, drank just enough from the bottle to shrink, and passed into the beautiful garden. The garden belonged to the Queen of Hearts, where soldiers, who looked like playing cards, painted white roses red to hide their mistake from the furious queen. "Off with their heads!" she shrieked at every provocation. Alice joined a bizarre croquet game. Flamingos served as mallets, hedgehogs as balls, and card soldiers as hoops. The queen ordered beheadings constantly, but the executions never happened because the king quietly pardoned everyone. The Cheshire cat appeared as only a head. The queen demanded to be beheaded, but the executioner argued you cannot behead what has no body. The king suggested cutting off the head anyway. Chaos ensued until Alice suggested fetching the Duchess, owner of the cat. The Duchess arrived and began finding morals in everything, annoying the queen, who threatened to execute her. The queen sent Alice with a griffin to meet the Mock Turtle, who lamented his school days with lessons in reeling and writhing and other puns. The griffin and Mock Turtle performed the Lobster Quadrille, a dance where sea creatures partner with lobsters. The Mock Turtle sang a mournful song about beautiful soup. A distant shout announced a knave of Hearts trial for stealing the queen's tarts. Alice followed the crowd to the courtroom. The king presided, the queen glowered, and the jury consisted of creatures Alice had met. The knave stood silent while the white rabbit read absurd charges. The first witness was a hatter, who arrived still wearing his hat and carrying bread and butter. He testified nervously, mentioning unfinished tea. The dormouse was next, asleep and mumbling. The Duchess's cook testified about tarts, but added only pepper. Alice grew steadily larger during the proceedings. When called as a witness, she declared she knew nothing of the affair. The queen shouted, "Off with her head," but Alice retorted that they were only a pack of cards. The cards rose in a flurry and flew at her. Alice screamed and woke on the riverbank, leaves rustling in her face from the wind stirred by her sister's book. "Oh, I've had such a curious dream," she exclaimed, recounting the strange adventures to her sister. Then she ran off for tea, leaving her sister to ponder the tale and imagine what a grown-up Alice might one day tell her own children about the wonderful dream.